Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 575XP chainsaw. Customer complaint is that it bogs in the cut. Common complaint with many chainsaws. And the first thing I like to do is take a look at the fuel system. This is an older filter. If that's plugged up, that certainly could contribute to a lack of fuel delivery and a bog under high load. I removed the filter and I'm putting 10 pounds of pressure on the fuel line. And I'm testing the fuel line itself for leaks. It's holding, so a hole in the fuel line isn't the reason for his bog. Now I put everything back together. I want to move forward and take a look inside the cylinder and make sure that we don't have a scored piston and cylinder. You know, if we did, that would change the whole way we look at this repair, and we'd have to make a phone call to the customer and see what he'd want to do. Dirt ingestion does not seem to be an issue. The filter looked decent enough. Let's get this spark plug out of here and see what we got going on in that cylinder. Just generally looking around under here, things look pretty decent. It looks like he tried to replace the spark plug to fix his problem. Clearly that didn't work because he brought the saw into me. The good news is that it's clean in there. Now I paused there for a second because I may end up pressure testing this. I'm not sure where this is going to go yet. So let's, I want to take the carb off. I want to look at the micro screen in the carburetor. I want to look at the metering diaphragm. For me, those have been the most common reasons that a person might be experiencing a bog in the cut. And worst case scenario, the carb's got to come off anyway if I do want to pressure test it. So we've removed the screws out of the carburetor, and I removed the air filter box from the rubber saddles that hold it down. Now this air box is loose. The choke is still interlocked into the lever, and there's a kill wire there yet. We'll just flop that air box off to the side. I'm holding the throttle open right now to put some slack in the throttle cable so I can remove that. And then there's a fuel line attached to the bottom of the carb. This is the one that comes from the fuel filter in the tank. There we go. We have harvested a carburetor. It's a little bit dirty in there. Let's take a look at the piston skirt on the intake side. It didn't look unusually worn from dirt ingestion, so we're happy about that. A little bit of schmutz there, just cleaning it up. There we go. It's not spa day or anything like that. We just don't want to get any dirt inside the engine. Okay, now it's time to look at this carburetor. We're going to set this up on our carburetor stand. If you're not familiar with this carburetor stand, it's something that I make myself, and if you need one, there's a link in the description of the video. Alright, there is a secondary throttle assembly on this carburetor, and I want to remove it, and there's two really small screws that hold it on. you want to take a good look at this piece of linkage before you take the assembly off of here so that you put it together the right way. If I just lay it down on the bench that way, I should be able to remember how it goes on without taking a picture. Alright, well, the Snap-on man was here today, and he had told me that these were coming. This is an inline screwdriver, and there's also a pistol grip screwdriver that came bundled in a set. If you follow this channel, you know that I've been in the search for a duplicate to my battery-powered screwdriver just so I had a backup. And when I heard that this was coming out, I thought, well, this might actually be the answer. Problem is that this thing doesn't drive bits. It's a 1/4 inch driver. There's the screwdriver I've been using. So I got to put an adapter on here. I only had one adapter in the shop, and it's not even branded. It's pretty cheap. So the bits flop around in there a little bit. I have since ordered a new adapter to try. So, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do, but you'll see here in a little bit that the pistol grip one might be better. But there's our problem right there. That micro screen is just full of dirt. And if fuel can't get past that screen, at least not fast enough, then you're going to experience a bog in the cut. A lot of times that thing will be so plugged up that a saw might start and idle but not even rev up. So we're giving this screwdriver the shakedown run here. It's okay, but it's really long. Let's take a look at our metering diaphragm. I'm going to take a razor blade and pop it off of here. It's a little bit stiff. All that dirt on the top of it is because the cover is vented and dirt has found its way in there over the years. That dirt doesn't affect anything unless it builds up so much that that diaphragm can't move. So we've got a Zama C1M EL28 carburetor. Those are the numbers we'll use to look up the carb kit for this. Alright, there's the pistol grip. It's also a 1/4 inch drive. You notice the difference in length here. I mean, with the bit on it, the pistol grip is shorter than the inline driver without a bit. And I'm starting to think this might be the way I want to go. Now back where my thumb is, there's the forward and reverse button. And this thing's variable speed. Yeah, the Neanderthal knuckle draggers are getting kind of noisy in the shop, so kind of try to ignore any of the noises you hear back there. In fact, a lot of this video had to be muted just to make it listenable. Alright, we have our carb kit, and dumping it out on the bench here. This particular kit isn't typical. There's an extra piece in here. That screw went flying. I'm not even sure where that came from or how that happened. I think it's one of the carb airbox screws. So this driver and the inline driver, when you're not spinning it, you can torque with it. So it locks up when it's stopped. So that was kind of necessary in my list of requirements for a driver. I kind of wish it was a bit driver, not a 1/4 inch drive. And I'm pretty sure that if this thing gains any popularity, they're going to come out with a bit driver one, and I'll have to upgrade or something. All right, here's our new needle. And I was just kind of making sure that the tip of it was clean. I'm going to insert it into the metering lever, drop it down on top of the spring. Then we'll slide the cross shaft over into place and tighten down the screw. I'm going to try our new driver on here. Yeah, works good. I like it. Okay, we have a gasket. We had a gasket. Oh, I forgot to check the metering lever height. But it's good. So we can put the gasket back on there. And then we have a metering diaphragm. And then our our metering chamber cover. This is the one that has the vent in it. So let's see how this driver works on these screws. And while it may sound like I'm getting paid to promote this thing, that's not the case. I'm just showing you a new tool. I didn't even charge it up yet. The thing's still got the factory charge on it. It's almost dead. Once it's charged up, that orange light on there will be green. So there you go. I was able to finesse those screws in there and then torque them down. No issues. Works pretty good. Here's our absolutely filthy, full of schmutz micro screen. Certainly the reason for the bog. We're just going to push it down into place, get it seated. Yeah, that coupler is pretty sloppy. I hope the ones that I ordered are going to be a little tighter. So I said that this one had a few extra gaskets on it. You'll see we first have the fuel pump itself. We'll get that laid on here. And then there's this clear membrane that kind of backs up the fuel pump. We'll get that in place. And then our gasket. And the old gasket came right off the cover. That was nice. Now you'll see me fumble here a little bit. This is the way I like to do it. I like to work off the carb stand. Now, some people will load all these gaskets on the cover and then just set the carburetor over the top of the cover. And that works pretty good. But it doesn't really flow with my whole carb stand vibe that I got going on here. This seems to work pretty good most of the time for me. Yep, I'm happy about that driver. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the inline one. Okay, now we have to put that secondary throttle assembly back on here. I'm just taking a look at the linkage here, making sure everything's in working order, and kind of getting oriented. If I just line this up the way it's going to go together, I can see which way that linkage goes in that bracket on the carburetor. Just like that. All right, we're going to tighten these screws down. That screwdriver I have in my hand is a JIS screwdriver. If you don't know what that means, Google it. Just look up some videos. There are different types of Phillips heads for screws, and if you use a non-JIS screwdriver on a JIS screw, your screwdriver could slip. So right now I'm just pushing a vent line down onto a fitting that had come off. The vent line comes out of the tank and just vents to the bottom of that carburetor tray. When I had this fuel line out of the tank to pressure test it, it passed the pressure test, but it didn't really pass the feel test. It doesn't feel like it's got another year left in it. And it may even be the original line to this saw. The ends where the filter go on and where it was pushed on the carburetor, they definitely have a memory and they're kind of hard. So we're going to replace that fuel line. Here's our new line. I'll give you the part number for it. These lines come with the ends cut to a taper. So the line's going to have to go through this tray on the bottom of the carburetor and then through the top of the tank. There's a rubber grommet. Can't quite see the grommet very good looking into the gas cap, but once the hose is pushing through, I think I'll be able to see it. Getting some of the schmutz out of there. So I'm going to push the line through the opening in the bottom of the tray, which it just pushes right through. It's not a sized snug fit or anything like that. And then I'm just going to grab the end of the line. Got a bunch of dirt on it. And then I want to push it through the rubber grommet that's in the top of the tank. Now, if I took the 3 screws out that are on this side of the handle, I could open that gap up. Actually, I probably don't have to take 1 screw out. But I could open that gap up and make this a little bit easier. But I'm kind of stubborn. Looks like I got the end of it pushed through that grommet. Now if I can see that end here, I should be able to reach in and grab it and pull it through. I think I had it. There we go. Good deal. I'm going to have to cut the end off here and then put a new fuel filter on it. Alright, looks like we left enough here to work with. I'll flush cut the end of the line. And then I don't think I have that routed right. I think I want to go underneath that throttle cable. I think that's the way I want that to look. Alright, let's slap this carburetor on here. There is an impulse hole that has to get lined up. It's underneath that orange ring. Just be aware of that so that I mean, I suppose if you're sloppy, you could maybe get that not lined up. You still get the screws in, but it should line up on its own. We'll push the fuel line on right away while we got easy access to it. And then maybe you need to pull a little bit of that slack through. You can't have this line tight because there is movement between the fuel tank and the chassis of the saw. But you don't want so much slop in there that you end up with a kink. I think I got a good compromise right there. Alright, now we got to try and get this air box on here. Besides the 4 holes, you got to get the choke lever lined up. And usually this is the clumsiest part of putting any Husqvarna carburetor back together, is getting the air box tucked in here. There's not many situations where there's a lot of extra room to work. It's usually kind of a tight fit like this. Alright, I'm just kind of moving the throttle. You can see I got that pin and that catch on the choke, on the choke lever. So I got that lined up. Now it's just a matter of getting this thing lined up properly for the screws to go through. Sometimes your kill wire can get hung up. Make sure you're not pinching that off. I'm putting the air filter base into the rubber saddles that mount it. Trying to anyway. There we go. And then our dust boot for our adjustment screws. There it went flying. I probably should have taken that off right away, huh? Alright, what are we looking at? Let's get them screws in there. The longer ones go on top all the way through the carburetor. So in the interest of, I mean, look at the difference in size between the driver I normally would use for this and this new driver. As long as it's 1/4 inch, I'm going to try using this bit on here and seeing how it feels. It's a variable speed tool, but there's no clutch on it. And the clutch for me is pretty important on the bigger driver. On this one, you know, to be honest, I don't know if it has enough torque to even strip this out. It's not meant as a torquey tool. I imagine that if you do a lot of interior work in cars and trucks, this would be pretty handy to have something small where you can reach up under the dash or wherever. I don't even remember, does it have a light on it? Yeah, it's got a light on it. I don't have that air box lined up just right. That's what I was working on there. Yeah, that works pretty good. The tool locks when it's not running, so I can do a final torque with it. Yeah, it's me saying I'm happy. Alright, this all looks good. We got our throttle cable in place. Function check of the trigger and the choke. Everything's good. We will crank down our spark plug. Then we'll have to get some fuel in here. And then I'm going to try and start it, and if it starts and runs, then that's all I'm going to have for you on the Husqvarna 575XP chainsaw that bogged under load because it had a plugged up micro screen in the carburetor. Thanks for watching. Later.